prepare everything here. Where are we? Yeah. Let me just reshare. I missed something. They updated everything here. I have to find the right. Here it is. There we are. Perfect. So welcome to my session. I hope you can see my screen. Can you?
Yes, we can.
Yes. Perfect. Yeah, welcome to my session. Let me just pop up the slides then, like that. And yes, so let's get started. Ben Bergman is my name. We will talk a bit about Fiddler for Dataverse and how to get started with it. We will talk a bit about more stuff. I will come to that later. But first of all, I want to introduce myself. Bendik Bergman, as mentioned, I'm a Power Platform consultant at CRM Consulterna here in Stockholm. I'm coming from Germany, moved to Stockholm like 4 years ago. And I'm coming from a .NET development background. Have added Angular on top of it later, and then moved on to Dynamics, CRM, CE, and model-driven apps, and to the Power Platform as we know it today. I also have my contact information here. So if you want to contact me and have questions, please do so. I'm happy to help, and just reach out to me at Twitter, LinkedIn, or mail or whatever. So what is it we want to talk about today? So we want to talk about the why, the how, then do a demo, and then talk a bit more about the use cases, or maybe additional use cases. So why use Fiddler? How does it work? And then a demo to get into it, and we will configure it together and try to make it work. The demo will be the biggest part of this presentation, and then at the end, I want to mention some more additional use cases you could do over just standard JavaScript web resources. So I mentioned here a bit during the demo, we will look not just at Fiddler, but other stuff as well. I have a different slide for that later. So why should we use Fiddler? Most or the biggest plus point, I would say, is that it improves the development speed tremendously. So you don't have to deploy your stuff to your Dataverse environment. You just build it locally and then directly test it. So you are not you don't have to invest the time of deploying everything all the time whenever you have made some changes. And I usually use Sparkle to deploy my stuff. So that's a tool from Scott Duro. So I just run a file and it deploys everything for me, which makes it already faster. But using Fiddler is like adding a bit more productivity to it, I would say. Then another thing is, if you have like a shared development environment, which we usually have because our projects are quite small, then you don't have an impact on other developers, because if you develop something which isn't working, maybe throws exceptions or whatever, which happens during development, and you only have it locally and only you see your changes, then everyone else isn't impacted of it, so they can just use the system as usual. And when you're ready with your stuff, then you deploy it. You're ready JavaScript, and everything should work fine. And then the next thing is that you don't have unfinished web resources. It's like the same. It goes in the same direction. So you won't deploy your stuff when it's not finished. So you test it with Fiddler, and when it's ready and you know that it's working, then you can deploy it to the system, so you don't have like half done stuff in the Dataverse. So how does it work? What is usually happening when you go to Dataverse and do stuff there? So your laptop or your PC, it will request Dataverse for getting some web resources, for example, account.js. And then, so it sends an HTTP request to Dataverse, please give me account.js, and Dataverse will respond with it. And then your machine will act accordingly. What Fiddler is doing, it intercepts this request. So basically, it intercepts every request. So your browser sends this request to Dataverse. It goes through Fiddler, and Fiddler redirects it to Dataverse and gets back the responses. So far it hasn't done anything. The account.js still comes from your Dataverse. What we want to achieve is that it will inject a local file. So you request the account.js. Fiddler knows, okay, this file I have to inject from your local storage, and just responds the file without sending any request to Dataverse. So this is way faster, which you in today's world don't really feel, but it is faster, and you only get the stuff you have locally and not everything which is in Dataverse. And it's basically a man-in-the-middle attack, but in this case, it's a man-in-the-middle attack we want to have. As I mentioned earlier, during the demo, we will talk about more stuff than just Fiddler to get to the stuff to work and so on. So we will talk about my usual TypeScript project, maybe talk about environment-specific typings, deploying with Sparkle, and how to be debug, and if you have time, different source map configuration to make debug a bit more easy. So let's go into the demo then. I just have to switch my monitors. Yes, here we are. So first of all, we have to download Fiddler. I tend to use the Fiddler Classic. I'm used to it and I know how this one is working. I haven't had time to use the Fiddler, what is it called? Everywhere, which is like web-based. So I'm using Fiddler Classic, which is a normal application you have to download and install. I have done that already, but if you would click on download here, you have to write in like your name and email address, or where you're from, email address, and why to use it, and then you can download it. So I have done that already, and I also have installed it, a plain installation. So let's just open Fiddler then. If it stops. Yes, here it comes. So when you start it the first time, it will inform you about some stuff for which Microsoft is using and so on. That's okay. You could read more about it. So that's the basic Fiddler UI. On the left side, you have your request. So if I now would go to somewhere, it should pop up there. Google.com. So here was a request to google.com. And some more requests in that the website is doing different stuff. That's fine. So now we can process our network traffic, or Fiddler is processing our network traffic. But to use it for Dataverse, we have to configure a bit of stuff. So first of all, we have to encrypt HTTP. The HTTP requests. Let's see, tools. Options, there it is. And here we would like to go to the HTTPS, and then we have capture HTTP connections, that's okay, and we have to decrypt it. For all of them, that's okay. And if you click OK, it might ask to install some certificates, but they might be installed on my machine already. Yeah, they are. So if you do this the first time, it will ask you about, or it needs some certificates installed on the machine to work. So it would ask to install them, and so you proceed and accept it, and it will do its stuff and install those certificates, Fiddler certificates. Because what it's basically doing is encrypting those HTTP requests, looking into them, and then because you don't want to process all of them locally, so you want to send some of them back to the or process them on the server. So it will pack them again and send them with its own certificates. So since all the online environments are running on HTTPS, we need to do that. Otherwise, it has any it can't intercept our request. So we need that. Then what I tend to do, because when we load like Dataverse, you can try it. Where do I have it? There it is. So if I reload this page, there will be a lot of requests because Dataverse is talking a lot. So it will request different APIs for different data, for all the different JavaScript web resources it needs, and so on and so forth, and the definition and so on. So over the time, this one can grow this list, and it's quite hard to know or find the right requests. So I tend to filter them away. So because I just want to have those requests that are for web resources, basically. So you see here that that's everything. It just was this one, basically this one refresh. Yes, then to do so, we go to filters. Let's see, there it is. And we activate the use filters, and then we want to have only if the shown URL show if it contains, and then we say something like web resources. And it's directly saved. So if I would reload the page now, hopefully it shows only those that are for web resources. Let's see. Yeah, you see, it's not doing much now. You can actually, where is it now? Here we are. I think, yeah, remove all. So we just reload once more. Oh, it should only show those for web resources, which shouldn't be much. See, make it a bit bigger here. That's the URL, and it contains web resources. So now this line is, or this list is a bit better to check and so on. So we only have those stuff we need. So next up would be to configure our autoresponder. But first, we want to take a look at our JavaScript or TypeScript so that we know what we want to debug. So let me open my configuration here. So I have a project or a standard project for TypeScript, basically. So it's type, as mentioned, TypeScript setup, and it's using Webpack to pack everything together and bundle it. And then I used the Dataverse from Scott Dura again to get like basically early bound for my TypeScript. So it's typing for my TypeScript. If you have a bit time, we can take a look at that as well. Yes, I can increase my where it is, appearance, zoom in twice to be sure. So I hope that's better. So what do I have here? So I have a Fiddler demo parent form.ts. So it's basically for my an entity which is called Fiddler demo parent, then I have an entity which is called Fiddler demo child table, sorry. And then I have a form TypeScript. I usually split it for forms and ribbons. For the demo, I just have like a form TypeScript, and it should execute on load. And what we have here, it just should like alert it works, so that we know we have deployed it, and it's configured in the right way. So let's deploy that to our environment. Yes. Oh, let's see. We do an npm build, no, run build. Which now triggers our Webpack and TypeScript loader and everything, and creates our JavaScript from the TypeScript. It's configured in my case. Whoa. Oh yes, I'm in the wrong folder for sure. And once more, so it's configured to output like all the JavaScript that comes from TypeScript in my folder, which is web resources and then JavaScript. I do that to have all my web resources I want to deploy in the same folder structure here. On the left, I have CSS, HTML, images, and JavaScript in the same folder structure. And then my Sparkle can just grab everything in there and deploy it to my Dataverse. So what we are doing now is building everything. In this case, it's just like a React demo and a normal TypeScript demo for a form. And it should output it as JavaScript. And then, as mentioned, I am using Sparkle to deploy. So I have my Sparkle configuration here. It should add everything to my Fiddler demo solution. And then I've configured some stuff, what it should upload. It's the JavaScript file we talked about for the Fiddler demo parent form. And then I've the React JavaScript and React CSS and React HTML. So yeah, this one is not the fastest one, especially when I've opened so much, but let's just run Sparkle to deploy it, because I've built it earlier. So I open Sparkle, no, wrong folder, sorry. Buts, and then I just deploy web resources like that. It pops up. Now it was created as well, so we are really deploying the current version. It asks for my connection, so which server I want to connect to, and I choose mine, which is my own development environment. And then it will go to the Sparkle JSON and deploys everything which is included there. So if we go to my environment, hopefully I'm fast enough. If you look at my solution, at the moment we only have like a model-driven app, sitemap, and 2 tables. And soon we will have some JavaScript files and other web resources as well. So now it will publish those 4. So it has deployed all the 4 configured web resources, and if we reload this page, it should be included in this in my develop or demo solution. Let's see. So what you have to do still, of course, is when you use Fiddler to debug, the web resource has to be deployed to the system once, at least, so that you can configure it in your form, onload or change, or whenever you want to use it, or in a ribbon or whatever. So you have to deploy it once, and then the deployment further on you can do with or testing with Fiddler until you have like a version which is good enough to deploy to your Dataverse. So now we see we have like 4 web resources in here. Those 4 we deployed. So let's go to the parent and configure our onload function there. Just open the correct form here. Yeah, what we want to develop then in our function is that it should basically show like a message at the top how many active childs are connected to our parent. So the childs have a lookup to the parent, and how many are there which are still active and not inactivated, and just should show like a small information about that. Maybe not the best use case, but something we could develop within this time frame we have. So now we have to add the web resource to the onload event of the form. So we will add it as a library. Just searching for E, which is my prefix I usually use. Yes. So there it is. Add this one, and then we add an event onload, event handler. Yeah, that's the correct one. And then I have like Fiddler demo parent form dot onload, and I want to pass in the execution context. Save. So if we reload our form now, it should bring up an alert which just says it's working, just to test that we have configured everything correctly and the namespace and the function name is configured correctly when it's published. Nice. So we just reload, and this time I press Control F5 to clear the cache at the same time. Oh yeah, sorry, it was a list and not a form I was on. So we opened the demo parent. So there's one demo parent and two or three demo children. We will see later. So here it is. Here's our JavaScript. It executed. We have configured it correctly. So that's nice. Let's get started with Fiddler then. So we have prepared everything. Our web resource is in the system. It's configured as it should be. We have our source control open, or our Visual Studio Code, where we could develop stuff and build it. And we have Fiddler installed and have made the basic configuration for HTTPS. So now we come to the really interesting part, which is the autoresponder up here. So that's what we want to use basically. So we will write a regex which matches on a certain type of web resources, and should then, if it is matching, it should instead of sending the request to the server, it should just respond with a local file. That's basically what we want to have. So we add a rule, and then we have like regex. I will copy it and then explain what it's doing. So what I have for a regex here is it should match on URLs which have web resources followed by bb_, which is my prefix, JavaScript or /JavaScript/ some folder which I might have, and then the file name .js and probably .map if I would have like source mapping in an external file. So that's basically what this regex is matching on. So let's take a look at our web resources. Yes, exactly. So what I'm usually doing is I have pseudo folder structure in my web resources. So all the JavaScript web resources are under like my prefix _ slash JavaScript slash, and then the file name. It could be that I have like a deeper structure, like under JavaScript, I also have, I don't know, some subfolders or folders. So if we take a look at those here, you will see the structure. So I have /CSS for the CSS files, /HTML for the HTML files, and /JavaScript for the JavaScript files, which makes it yeah. So then the source explorer or the solution explorer will have them sorted under each other, so it's easier to find all the JavaScripts because they are grouped more or less. And it yeah, since it's like resembling my folder structure in my web resources folder locally, it's easier to remember which JavaScript is it and where does it come from, and so on and so forth. So yeah, that's the reason why I have like this //JavaScript, because if I only would use one of those, then so I have to escape like the slash. That's why I have a / before that. Oh, that's okay. Then we want to respond with our file. So we go to find a file, which pops up our Finder, and then we navigate to our project. There it is. Wait, wrong repo. Yeah, here's my repository, development, frontend, web resources, JavaScript, Fiddler demo. So if I've saved that, so it's important to press save if you otherwise navigate away, so your configuration will be gone. So in this case, whenever our request is matching, it will answer with one file, which is the Fiddler demo parent form.js, which isn't optimal. We don't want to have that. So we want to respond with the file that was requested, obviously. So we can modify this. So we take away the file name here and paste in this one. So basically what we have done up here is we have created variables which can be reused in our response here. So first of all is the folder. So if there is a folder, we want to have the file which is locally in the same folder. If we next variable will be the file name. In our case, like Fiddler demo parent.js or Fiddler demo parent forms.js actually. That's a file name, and then probably a source map if we have that. Pressing save again. Good. Let's go back here. Press F12 to open up the developer tools. One thing to do here is go to network and check this little disable cache checkbox, because then you don't have to press Control F5 for deleting the cache. You just press F5 or this little reload button here, and it will ignore the cache, basically. So let's test that. So we just reloaded that all the files come up here in the list because we want to test our Fiddler configuration. Let's see if Fiddler. Nope, not loaded yet. Fiddler demo. We just maybe write forms. Yeah, we have to wait until the notification came up. So what I want to do is I want to search for my file, which still comes from the server. I want to grab the URL and then we can test it against our configuration whether or not it's matching. So yeah, just wait until the pop-up came up. Okay. Fiddler demo. Let's see if Fiddler is doing anything already. No. Okay, so because I have not activated the routes yet, so it shouldn't do anything. Yeah, just. Hopefully it works now. That was, yeah, so now it works. I don't know what the problem was, but if you now, I've seen it already, Fiddler, there it is, Fiddler demo parent over here. So if you open that, we have the URL that was requested. You can copy it and go to Fiddler and press this little test link, and it will automatically paste in the last thing which is in our we copied, and it will test it again. That's the pattern. So this will be matched. So our regex is working, and the Fiddler demo parent will be matched here. So let's activate the routes and go to our code and maybe just for now change the alert. Local version, maybe, doesn't matter. And we save. We have to rebuild because it takes the JavaScript file and not the TypeScript file. So we have to take it from there, or we have to push our changes to our JavaScript files. So we rebuild the stuff. And then we just reload the site and hope see that it will come from local storage. Yeah, it's important to rebuild, otherwise you won't get the changes. Yeah, and it's also important that if you're done developing and doing stuff with the Fiddler, then you have to deploy, because I forgot that once or twice. And so I developed something in my web resources and have debugged with Fiddler, and everything worked fine. I can now leave, and my day is done for today, but I forgot to deploy it to Dataverse. So next day when Fiddler isn't active, it's not there. So yeah, you have to remember to deploy. So now it's ready. We can reload the page and go to Fiddler and see what it's saying. So our web resource, it's not the first one which is loaded, but it should show up here in the list at some point, and it should be highlighted when it was matched by a rule. So then it will be like purple. So the font will be, or the font color will be in purple, hopefully. So that you know, okay, it was hit by a rule and the rule was executed, and the file you're seeing is like your local one. Oh yeah, one thing important: check this unmatched request path through, because if you haven't checked that, every request which does not match any rule will just be blocked. So it basically does not request anything from Dataverse. So if you have checked that one, then it means that it will send everything to Dataverse which wasn't matched. So that's reload that again. But if you get this error, you see the error message, so it's quite explaining what you have to do. But yeah, I do forget that it first time always, as you have seen. So let's see what happens here in the list. So it has requested some web resources, but it wasn't ours yet. Some out of the box PCFs, and here it was, I think. Let's make this a bit bigger. Yeah, so here you see it. So the background is a bit purple and the color is green. So this one was matched by our rule, and it should have, yeah, it is the local version, as you can see, because we have like the error message local version. So that's nice. So if we shut Fiddler or close it and reload the page once more, it should give us the old message, because we only have deployed the one which says it's working, not the one which says it's working local value. So that seems to work. In the meantime, let me just paste like the code we want to run and build it once more. I have everything, I think, yes. So I will explain it in a minute. Let me just run the build so that we don't waste time on that. So let's see. Yeah, so now the message it works again. So that's the version which is online, but not our local. So starting Fiddler again. And then, yeah, one more thing, if you have Fiddler running, you might get, or I once in a while have a bit problems with my Teams chat. So my Teams is disconnected. So if I'm in a call like we are now, everything works fine, but the chat is disconnecting. Could happen. So yes, let's see if the build is ready. No, not yet. So I can take a look at if there are questions. Yeah, so I can paste the regex. I have a blog post on how to configure Fiddler as well. There I wrote the regex as well, but in this blog post I don't have the variables yet. But I have to update the blog post. It's on my list, coming soon. Yes, let's see. So the last thing I posted now is like the last part of your path to your JavaScript files. So just the file path, file part of the path. So what we are doing here in this code, let's just take a look at that really quick. So I have an onload function. It creates the form context from the execution context or event context. I create a service client from the which is from Dataverse, and it's basically a wrapper around the web API to make it more C# SDK like. So you just have like the service client that create, retrieve multiple, delete, and so on. So it takes away all the weird stuff the API has and gives you a bit easier to understand service client. Then I request my show notification, which takes in the service client and the form context. It gets like the open children from another function, which has a fetch XML to get all the Fiddler demo children and gives them back, and they are typed because I'm using data versifiers with early bounding or typings, so I know which type they are. And then I just show a notification info with there are X amount of active children related to this record. So that's basically everything we have. Having this one in separate functions makes it testable. If I have it on load, then it's a bit more complicated because I have like the XRM web API in here, which is a bit harder to mock. So yeah, so to be able to write unit tests and integration tests, it's better to like on your own load just call different functions, which you can test then. Yeah, so this one is built, that's ready. So if we reload the page, it should show our notification because Fiddler is running, is it? Yes, it's running, autoresponder is on, unmatched request path-through is on. So yeah, just test it. Let's see. So as mentioned, so the alert should be not shown, but it should show like a little information, how many open posts or active posts are related to this one. Hopefully. Yeah, so there it is. There are 3 active children related to this post, to this record. And yeah, so you have it directly in Dataverse without deploying. It's coming from your local storage. So everything you have to do is write your code, build it, test it directly without the deploying in between. You could even go a bit further and have like a watch on your JavaScript or TypeScript files, which like, let's say, let's see, package JSON where our commands are. I have like the test watch or start, and the start is like if you go npm run start, it will create or start the webpack with the watch on your files. So whenever I change anything, the build will trigger directly, so you don't even have to build your stuff manually. So you change your TypeScript files, it will build, and you can test it. So now the compiling has started. We wait until this one is ready, and then we can test our watch. In the meantime, I wanted to show you some stuff here regarding debugging. So I mentioned different types of source mapping. What I have configured now is eval source map. So it's included in my file, basically. That's good for development. You don't want to have that in production. So it's a different, I would have a different build for my production build. It has pros and cons. So if you could have either your source maps in the file with the eval source map configuration, or you could have it as a different file, separate file. I tend to have it as a different file, so that if a developer forgets to build in production mode, I don't have this really huge file which includes all the eval. It's just like not minified, which is okay. But if you have this eval, it's like a horrendous big file. So I tend to have it in a different file actually. And the matching, regex matching, which I posted, will match that as well. So it's handled. You don't even have to deploy the file to your Dataverse, which isn't so. You could deploy your map file to Dataverse because it only gets loaded if someone opens the developer tools. But I tend to not deploy them. Just Fiddler just sends them if I need them. So, but either way, what you can do if you want to debug stuff here, you go to the source tab, press Control P, and search for your file. There they are, 2 of them, and there you have like a Webpack internal and Webpack. So you have to use like the Webpack because the Webpack internal is like unreadable. So you take Webpack, it opens like nearly like your TypeScript is, depends on your output configuration and so on. And then you can just like set a breakpoint in here, press F5, and it should hit the breakpoint, so you can debug it directly in there. That when it comes. Yeah, not the fastest one. There it is. It hit my debug. I'm in my function which gets the active children, so I can just go in here and say, okay, I want to proceed. Here we are, fetch XML is builded, and then return the stuff. So I could debug this function without setting any debugger in the code directly and rebuilding stuff. So, which is nice, because if you set the debugger, or if you have the debugger in your code, so like, so this, yeah, basically the same could be achieved if I go into my code here and write, where are we? There, and write debugger. Wait. That. But then chances are high that you forget to delete it, and then it's there. So what I'm doing in my when I build in production mode, it deletes all the debuggers as well, which is I highly recommend that, because then it doesn't matter if you forget them there, it will just erase them when you deploy it to production, or build to deploy to production. Yeah, so that's how you could debug in the browser. And now I have the watch open, so let's see, we maybe just change the text here, test text, and save. And then you have seen like it directly kicked the build here down there, and it only has built the Java TypeScript file that has changed. So it will not build everything, but just the file that changed. So I haven't kicked or build it myself manually. I just change stuff, so I can reload the file or the page, and it will show the new text, and it will hit our breakpoint. But okay. So then you don't even have to like build your stuff. You just change your TypeScript. The build will run automatically. Fiddler will inject your local file, so you go directly to Dataverse, hit F5, and your changes will be there without deploying or doing anything else than changing your code. And the same approach can be used for HTML, CSS. You could use it for images. I don't know why you would do that, but you could. I mainly use that if I have like standalone web resources which are building on React, which might be not a big thing any longer now that we have custom pages, but they are at the moment. So, but I will use the same approach, injecting the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript from local, so that I don't have to deploy it. And here you see it, test text is added without me building anything. So, and still, if I close Fiddler and reload again, it will show just the error message or the alert we have configured in the beginning, because that's the only thing we have deployed so far. Yeah, so let's wait until this one is ready, and then we go back to the slides, because I have some more, one more slide. Yeah, so as you can see, it's the back to the alert, because that's the only thing we have deployed to Dataverse. So let's switch to my other monitor. Here we are. So the demo is ready, and I promise to have like some additional use cases. As mentioned, I use it for other web resources as well. If I have HTML, CSS, or images, not so often or never basically, but you could use it there for this as well. And then I often use it for PCF development. So I inject the bundle. So then I just have to build my PCF locally and can test it against our environment until it's working and the bug is fixed or whatever I'm doing. And then I can deploy it. So I'm skipping because the PCF deployment is rather time consuming. So it will build a local temporary solution and deploy that and has to publish and everything like that. So it takes time. If you can get rid of that under your or during your development, it's quite it gives you time to do more stuff. Yeah, so thank you for attending. My contact details once more. I will just take a look through the chat if there are any questions, but yeah, exactly. The watch, the regex, I've pasted those. Yeah, that was basically it. Yeah, so thank you. And yeah, that was my part.
Thank you, Benedict, for joining us today. Yes, that's some really good examples you shared there. Of a lot of what you've shown. I haven't tried out myself actually, so that's really good. So from it, I mean, I'm just looking into the questions here, and I think there's lots of great feedback. From an actual practical point of view, Benedict, it would be interesting to know. Would you, I mean, from a scalability perspective, have you seen any challenges with this approach? Any considerations to make when you've got many developers working together?
No, not until now. So as mentioned, our projects aren't as big as others usually. So we have like a handful of people in the project, and some of them are not developers. So we're maybe 2 or 3 developers usually, if we are. So it works quite well. And as mentioned earlier, it is basically that if you use this approach, you're not impacting the others because you just if you do changes, it's just you who sees the changes. So you might not want to deploy a test JavaScript which pops up an alert that would impact the others, but other than that, it's only you who is impacted until your web resources is ready to go and ready to deploy. So I would say it works quite well.
Fantastic, excellent. So there you go. So Benedict has said it himself that as a developer productivity tool approach, this is highly recommended just to really speed up your own development and setting it up in your own console. Excellent. Okay, some great comments. Some people are sharing their regex expressions. So any other questions here? Danish is mentioning, I like the use of the folder as a variable. Rebuild mistakes can happen many times. Maja is asking where, okay, no. Philip Cole is saying the event config screen is the new maker portal. So much nicer to use in the classic. Let's just make a comment on your earlier presentation. So Dahir is saying, would Fiddler run on a terminal server with Dataverse so multiple developers could use it at once?
Never tested that, but I would say so, but I don't see so why would you do that? Because you want to have like only you who sees your changes until it's ready. But I would say it should work. Depends on how the terminal server is set up. Yeah.
Yeah. So one definite important scenario where we need to use this is in identifying memory leaks. Would you agree, Benedict? I mean, I've been hit by memory leaks myself in scenarios where the end users were using virtual machines for their client. So they didn't have full desktops. So if you're not using Fiddler, then those issues can get compounded very quickly, and then you've got a huge problem where people are running out of memory and the application is crashing, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Eduardo is asking, Sparkle XRM still valid on today's UI for Dataverse?
Good question. I'm not using the Sparkle XM. I'm just using the Sparkle Task Runner to deploy my stuff. So I'm not using the Sparkle UI stuff. So I can't answer that one.
Yep, and I think Sumit's saying, yep, he believes so, not used as much. Like, okay, great. Right, okay. Well, again, Benedict, I think it's been highly beneficial, this session. Getting people to get things set up on their machines, I think, is going to be an excellent guide for developers to get things set up. So once again, thank you for sharing your insight, Benedict. We really appreciate it. Thank you for joining from all the way from Stockholm, Sweden, and we hope to see you in person at some point.
I hope so too.
I know we have a developer bootcamp in the works in person. I know Danish will be making some announcements soon, but we will be having an in-person developer bootcamp. It'd be great to have you involved in that and see you in person. So once again, people, make sure you follow Benedict his blog. We'll share the link. There we go. Thank you, Lynn, for sharing Benedict's blog, and keep in touch with him on Twitter and LinkedIn. And we hope to see you soon, Benedict.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Awesome. So that was the awesome Benedict. And we have 2 minutes.